about you guys?
Hi everybody.
Hi guys, my name is Jenny Machula, Taragas High School.
My name is Rafael Juma from Tata County Student School.
My name is Maureen Shitawa. I'm from Shenas Girls High School located in Nakuru County.
Mini Matu, Makimaina, Ika High.
Hey guys, I'm Belinda Sifuna, Machel Girls School from 4.
I'm in Form 3 and you're watching Straight Talk TV.
Watching Straight Talk TV.
I'm in Form 4, the school is in Machakos County, and you're watching Straight Talk TV. Keep watching.
Hello everyone and welcome to our Tubonga Thursday. My name is Evelyne Odhiambo and I'm so happy that you're joining us again for another live conversation. And this is definitely going to be super amazing because today we are diving in deeper to understand menstrual health and menstrual hygiene. I hope we all know that, this week and this month, it's, a month of celebrating the nurses. But at the same time, it's that month that we get to talk about these in-depth issues about menstrual hygiene and menstrual health. And I have with me a great panel of amazing people from Uganda, here in Kenya, people from our different informal settlements community coming in to join us, that is me and you, to understand best how can we support women and girls in our community? How can we do it together just to ensure that when they are in this journey, they are safe, protected, and well taken care of. So stay tuned because this is just going to be another amazing show that we are going to have together. And I just want to welcome all my guests. You can all see them on the screen. Maybe they can do a wave. Welcome Jedida, Karibu Sana. Welcome to this show. Welcome Collins. I'm so happy to have you all here. Welcome Patrick, all the way from Uganda, and you're going to have this amazing conversation. And as you all know, I always have my amazing co-host, Stephen Nzusa. So before we actually dive into this conversation, Stephen, tuambie uko wapi?
Hello. My name is Stephen Nzusa. I'm your co-host, and today I'm actually at Kibera. This is the Kings and Queens in Kibera, and I'll be taking you through the facility today. They host quite a number of children, both boys and girls, and I have also the attendants with them today, and I think today we're going to have a very, very good show because at the end of the day, si mimi nilisema ni ule mtu wa surprise. So I'm about to surprise you with two other hosts in Mombasa and Isili so that we can actually have an all-round show. So karibuni sana. And the kids can say hi. Say hi. Hi. Say hi. So they're all happy and ready to hear from you. So back to you, Evelyne.
Wow, that is so nice to see, also adolescents joining us from where you are, Stephen, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Just like Stephen has said to our online viewers, we also have people from Mombasa who will be joining us, so it's going to be an amazing conversation. Please stay tuned, and maybe I'll just also have to say, if you're tweeting wherever you are, make sure you tag Malkia Initiative, make sure you tag DSW, and make sure you tag Patrick Sewa also on Twitter because they are our amazing guests today who are going to take us through this journey. So keep it locked. So now I just have a small activity for our guests before I officially introduce you amazing people to our online viewers. If you have a piece of paper, I just want you to draw a face of how you are currently feeling. How are you currently feeling? Just draw a piece of paper. If you a face, it can be a sad face, a happy face. But if you don't have a paper, Patrick, I can see you there. You'll tell us. You'll have to tell us how you are and how you're feeling, and especially with COVID-19, because it's also very important that we know how we are in our different places, even as you're coming virtually to connect. It's important to be aware and also appreciate how each and every one of us is doing. So just draw a face. I'm also drawing mine. And I will start with mine as I introduce you guys and give you also a moment to introduce yourself as you also share what the piece of paper, the face that you've drawn means to you and how you are at this particular moment. So as
nikamale au maremare, akakanguna nikangale au shashamane, nikangale au shashamane, akakanguna nikamale au maremare, nikamale au maremare, akakanguna nikangale au shashamane, nikangale au shashamane.
Oh Lord.
I Logos Music.
Edith Kimani didn't know one day she would grow to be a known worldwide presenter. Victoria Kimani didn't know that she would kill the show, run Lagos before Nairobi felt out. Take a look at Lupita Nyong'o, a better life right now is full of pretenders. Spend a gitu now you know, spend now me know. So kambali na nimbali ni na enda. Now you can bet your money on me, baby I'm the real deal.
Yes, welcome everybody. Welcome again. I'm sure that music has helped you draw a nice face, because it was very interesting also to just have the music play as we're drawing how we are feeling at this moment. So I have drawn a happy face as I can bring it closer, and I'm sure we can all see it. So this is basically because I feel very very privileged to have you all here, and I'm particularly happy because I have life. Remember, it's COVID and a lot is going on, a lot is happening, and I'm also very happy to have my family alive and healthy, and seeing your amazing faces, that makes me even more happy, because we are here as a community together championing for women and girls in our community. That makes me super excited. So I will quickly introduce our three main guests today, and then I will give them 2 minutes each to speak for themselves, because I think it's very appropriate for you to introduce yourself. Apart from me just reading your bio, I feel it's very powerful when it comes from you telling our audience who you are and what you do. That is the most powerful bit for a personal introduction. So I will just start with Jedida. And she is, wow, I mean, I don't know where to start from, but I can try, Jedida. I will try. So Jedida Lamaran is a menstrual health expert and training consultant. She is the executive director at the Malkia Initiative, a community organization in Kajiado County that focuses on educating and on sexual reproductive health and rights. Jedida is passionate about gender equality and education, with a strong leaning towards women, girls, and youth. In her work, she endeavors to build a safe, strong female community around girls, to help increase their self-confidence, build strong leadership skills, and encourage need for quality education and reproductive health. Jedida is a psychologist. Wow! Hey, I didn't know that. Thank God we have a psychologist in the house already. A psychologist, also unleashing sustainable development goals challenge, and a 2016 recipient of the Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders. Welcome. Karibu sana, Jedida. That is a mouthful of introduction, and tell you I love it. I love it. Next, I want to introduce all to you, Collins Watson. Collins, karibu sana. Thank you for joining us today. Collins is a DSW Kenya Communications Coordinator, supporting implementation of sexual and reproductive health programs. DSW works with youth to create demand for an access to health information, service, and supplies for the youth. Welcome, Collins, and I really feel really nice having you here, because sexual health is a vital aspect to all young people, and it's very important that DSW is joining and taking lead to ensure that together young people can access this service. Karibu sana. And next up we have, welcome. We have Patrick Sewe all the way from Uganda. Patrick, welcome to our live show today. So for Patrick, I'm just gonna do this offhand. For the long time I've known Patrick, I know Patrick sits in the She Decides movement, the international She Decides movement, and he is very vocal about young people's issues. And I'm also sure that he's been doing this for quite some time now. Patrick also is a founder and executive director at UYAHF Uganda, which he is going to tell us all about that. I just want to welcome all of you here today and to say thank you and karibu sana for joining our live event. We also have some of our guests from Mombasa. We have Rebecca Akinyi. We have also one from Isili, Mohammed, who is also joining us and will be telling us more about how is the menstrual situation in their different places. But with all that said, I want to jump right in and tell Jadida, please share with us how you're feeling right now. And maybe you can add something about who you are, because I might have missed something. Karibu.
Asante Eve. I think you just said everything correctly. I wouldn't have much to speak about myself. You just did a good job. I am feeling happy. I think I am always excited to talk about menstrual hygiene and menstrual health. This is my forte, so I feel quite excited just to share with a number of people who I know are watching right now. So I hope that it's going to be as informative and educative and fun as well. So yes, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Wow. Karibu sana. We are very happy to have you here with us and for you to bring the amazing voices from Kajiado and the amazing experiences from Kajiado to the world for us all to learn how you're doing it and how best we can all practice it. And then I will go right up to Collins. Collins.
All right. So I don't know whether this can be seen. There you go. I am happy. I can say that I'm happy to be here and to talk about issues affecting young people. And I think most importantly, what we can do to ensure that we improve the status of the sexual and reproductive health and well-being of young people. I think despite the fact that we also have the current ongoing COVID pandemic and the restrictions that came with it and the economic repercussions and other issues that we're dealing with, I think despite all that, there is reason to be hopeful and there is reason for us to celebrate the good work that our health workers are doing, our communities, and our government. So I think I can still smile and I'm happy to be on the show today.
Wow, I just love the aspect of you saying you can still smile, because that is all we need currently with everything that is happening, just to put a smile on our face, but also to put a smile on somebody else's face at this particular hard time. Patrick, I'm not sure if you can hear us, but we're hoping, yes, you're tuned in, and this is now your moment to tell us who you are, introduce yourself, how you're feeling, how is Uganda, and we welcome you to our online virtual Kenyan show. Karibu Patrick, welcome.
Great. I can hear you very well, Evelyne, live and clear. I really hope you can hear me because I'm equally so experiencing challenges with internet. But if you can hear me and if you can see me, I really want to say hi and hello to everybody. And thanks for hosting me on Tubonge. It's exciting. I love being here and you know at Uganda Youth and Adolescent Health Forum. We're excited to be part of this program. The lockdown is not treating me that well because it's exposing me to a lot of new normal than the normal things that I've always done. But it's exciting either way. I'm keeping a lot of positive energy. I'm learning a lot of new things. I'm having a lot of time to rest and to be with my family. And I'm also getting a lot of work done with not so much disruption. And also I've learned how to save as well. So it's pretty interesting. But nonetheless, I'm excited to be here. And I can't wait to dive into the conversations. Thank you.
Oh, amazing. You just talked about saving and I was like, oh yeah, we're no longer going out. So we're saving a lot of money. I'm hoping 2021, some of you will take me out because you've saved. Anyways, going right next to
But
that.
the thing is that those who chop the money are not so many now. So that's what we're saying.
Wow. Sawa sawa. That is well noted. Rebecca, welcome. Please tell us who you are and where you're joining us from. Rebecca, can you hear me? Tell us who you are and where you're joining us from. Okay, it looks like Rebecca is experiencing a little bit of technicalities here and there, but hopefully she'll be able to join us later on so that we can go on with this conversation. Muhammad, please could you tell us who you are and where you're joining us from today? Just, yes, tell us who you are. Karibu sana, Muhammad. Just unmute your mic. We can see you speaking, but we cannot hear you. Just unmute the mic. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm Ahmed Mohammed from ISLI. I work with Studio 63, and I'm just excited to join you and talk issues concerning ISLI today.
Amazing. Welcome. We are also very happy to have you here today with us to also tell us, what is the situation in Italy, how are girls in Italy doing. So I think we will just go direct to our questions and kick this off. So, because I'm very sure also our live viewers are really excited to hear all of us, try to dissect these elephant in the room. I've had people talk about the elephant in the room, and today we have it because it's something that is affecting all of us differently, and it's a conversation that we have to really break it down and help people in our communities to understand. So I will just start with you, Jadida. And maybe I will just start by you telling us what Malkia does, and especially for young women and girls in Kajiado.
Okay. So the Malkia Initiative is a community organization that mostly focuses on education, but we are implementing programs on sexual reproductive health and rights. And one of our core program is menstrual hygiene and management, and we've done that for the last 5 years. And when we started, we were only doing distribution of pads, but then later on, we realized that it is not enough just to have sanitary towels, and there is a lot more that comes with that. This came actually after we had given, I think, pads for a whole year, and we started still doing our monitoring and evaluation, and we realized that absenteeism due to menstruation did not stop even after we started giving after we gave sanitary towels. And then that's when we realized that there is so much more than a menstrual pad, and that's why I'm usually very passionate about this, just talking about the whole menstrual hygiene. And now we do education, we actually do all aspects of menstrual hygiene, and we are not only doing it with the girls, now we've pulled in women, because then they are the greatest support. We as the organization, we can no longer give sanitary towels to everyone, because then there is a very great need. And what we are doing right now is just finding sustainability ways. Now we are having a program that we are calling Bid for Her, where we are asking the women to engage themselves in income generating activities for them to be able to provide sanitary towels for the girls. And when we are doing the Bid for Her, and when we are meeting women in the community, we are also ensuring that we are also talking about disposal, which or probably even just water hygiene and sanitation as a whole, because you find Kajiado is a county where I think toilet coverage is around 30% or something of that sort. And without toilet, then it means that disposal, hygiene, sanitation is just bad. So that is all we are doing, I think, on the front of menstrual hygiene. I would be interested to share more with anyone interested. Yeah.
That is quite a lot that your organization is currently getting involved with. And I really love the aspect when you talk about, encouraging the women to sort of also create some artifacts for financial resources, because that also helps them to be able to sustain getting the menstrual health management materials and resources even when you're not there. But Jadida, there's this one question that I'm very sure even our online viewers are thinking about. Being a menstrual health expert, when we go online, we talk about menstrual health hygiene, menstrual health management. But probably even some of women and girls do not even understand what that is. Could you just explain to us what exactly is menstrual health hygiene and management when we are talking about periods and all this?
Okay. So when we talk about menstrual health management or menstrual health and hygiene, mostly we talk about the whole aspect. And if we are going to do a definition of that, then we would talk about the where women and girls are able to access clean materials to absorb their menstruation, and also them are getting water and soap to wash. We will also talk about the aspect of a safe, private, and comfortable sanitation facilities. So it is all round. So I think that is all we are talking about when we talk about menstrual hygiene.
Yeah, it's very evident that I think also from my perspective, I would say when we talk about menstrual health hygiene, I will perceive it as just having a pad, a tampon, or a menstrual cup. But it's really interesting to hear you bring the aspect of water, having clean water for these women. And that brings me to my next question. We have COVID-19 right now, and we know periods that not stop because of COVID-19. And we've also had issues of people saying, hey, you're telling us to wash our hands, but we don't exactly even have the water to even wash our hands with. So what are some of the solutions that Malkia Initiative is currently involved with when you're talking about water for sanitation and especially water for women at this particular moment? Yeah.
So that is a little bit difficult, I will not lie to you, because then we are trying to social isolate and to stay at home as much as possible. But you find that things like water cannot be put in safe packs and, or care packs and shared with everyone else. So what we are doing right now is just to ensure that we are talking to the county governments and ensuring that in places where we cannot actually get adequate water, then we have supply of water, but also just to sensitize women on, COVID-19, what they're supposed to do what they're supposed to do when going out, so that they can actually get water, because sometimes the government cannot do everything. They are worried about so many other things, but just to ensure that the women are keeping safe when they're going to fetch water when they have to go out. And the other thing is that we are grateful for is that now we are having rains, meaning that many people can actually get the roof catchment water. So that is what we're actually encouraging people to do. But on the other issue of probably sanitary towels, because of course then these are hard economic times, we are talking to the county governments to have sanitary towels included in the care packs, because then that is one way we will be sure that the women and girls will actually access sanitary towels.
Yeah, it's important, because I totally agree with you when you talk about, even as you're bringing in food, you should not forget that pad is a very big necessity for women and girls in our community. And that brings me to my second question, because you see, from hearing you speak, it's evident that our community is also missing a gap or ignoring how important mental health is. And being that you've worked closely with the community, what do you think are some of the gaps? And especially, let's look at it at a wider angle of having our brothers, our husbands, our spouses being involved. What are some of those gaps that we see in the community when we talk about mental health?
I think the greatest gap that we are having, actually I talk of two, but one just to answer your question directly, then we need to break the silence. Menstrual health and sexuality is one of the things. Actually, sexuality is one of the things that is it's a taboo topic among many African communities, and it's not even African communities, just across. We find that there is a lot of silence around this topic. And that is the problem that we've been having, where people, not even the men or the spouses or all that, just women themselves, they cannot come out to talk about menstruation. Yet menstruation is something that we must go through. You know, when I'm in the field, I usually tell women and even the men, if one does not get menstruation, then it means that probably they will not be able to get children. But the same men would not marry a woman who is not able to get children. So why should we then be silent about it? And for me, that is why it is very important, and it's something that we should talk about. And that is the biggest gap that we're having. But on the other front, I think the biggest gap that we are having is knowledge. We knowledge and education. So we lack education across the country, the communities. They lack just the basic education on what menstrual hygiene is. And you see, when people do not have education, then they just think of one aspect of, oh yeah, that thing has come. And why I am saying this is, when you look, I will even just ask you a question, Evelyne. What was the name that you called menstruation growing up? Or even now, what do you refer to?
I call it kunyesha.
Yes, kunyesha. So you see, these are the, you see, like we have names, pseudonyms that we usually hide menstruation behind. And the fact that we are hiding this menstruation behind kunyesha, anti-red, you know, all these names that we give it, it means that we are ashamed to even talk about it. So lack of education and silence around menstruation, for me, are the biggest gaps.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And especially now that you've actually brought it to my attention by asking me what I call it. And I just remembered I used to tell my friends, today I'm having my red demons. And everybody would be like, what is a red demon? So it's also really, really key that you're bringing this conversation, that sometimes the words that we use that hide exactly what is happening. And that is something that we should try to change, because if I tell somebody I'm having red demons, they might think I'm in a bad mood, you know, and I'm not necessarily in a bad mood.
And actually, just from the word red demon, my question to you is why you called it a demon and not an angel?
Exactly. Yes. I didn't have to answer that on live, but I am very happy that you've actually also opened up my mind about some of the things that I may be saying about my own period, unaware, thinking that, oh, it's a nice name to use, it's classic, but at the same time, it's more of like really derailing the conversation that we're supposed to be having in our communities.
Yes, and it actually also puts more stigma around the whole topic of menstruation.
Very, very true. I totally agree. Maybe Jadida, just to ask, you as Malkia and you as an individual have for a long time now championed for menstrual hygiene, and I'm pretty much sure that there's some of the challenges you've been facing in your work, related to the work that you're doing, and especially when you talk about menstrual hygiene. So I was hoping if you could perhaps talk about those challenges, because I'm sure maybe organizations like Malkia are also facing the same challenges, and maybe some of the practical solutions you have put in place just to ensure you don't give up, but you keep on going.
Okay. Thinking of challenges, of course, stigma is one of the biggest challenge, because one, I am a woman. Two, I am from the Maasai community, where it is totally difficult to talk about sexuality here. So the fact that I have, one of the things that I do is training. So when I go out to train men, especially because you find that teachers, most teachers, when we call for a training for teachers, if we want TOTs or something of that sort, we must bring in male even the male teachers. And just to talk about it, they will look at me. I am a woman. I am a young girl, or rather, I'm a young woman. They would just walk out at times because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to listen to me talking about it because that is a taboo topic. So stigma around menstruation is one of the huge challenges that we're having. But with time, we are finding ways to speak about it. We at times talk about it, maybe approach it from a WASH perspective, approach it from a reproductive health perspective, and slowly we find people opening up to these conversations. The other gap that we are having is a lack of probably water in Kajiado and most ASAL counties. We don't have water, meaning that we have to totally depend on borehole water. And what people are doing now is, especially because of sustainability, they're introducing the reusable products, that is the reusable pad and the cup. And you find that where I am, we cannot use that because of the hygiene situation. We cannot give this to young girls. I usually say, think of you when you're growing up, when you were in primary school. The color of panties that you would see hanged on the lines were just, yeah, it was bad when it came to cleanliness. So you can imagine you're giving a girl a pad that is reusable. They, one, might not wash it well, and two, with lack of water, then it means that that pad will not be clean. So what we are trying to do is then have women buy their girls' pads, and that's why we are doing the IGS, the infant generating activities, for us to always have a constant supply of sanitary towels. So for me, lack of water then means that in areas like this, we can just not accept. I personally, for the people who know me, I just don't accept reusable sanitary towels. The cup, ish. Then when it comes to the cup, again, the parents are refusing their girls to use the cup because they think that it's going to break their virginity, or maybe because then it's an insertable, it means that probably you're introducing them to sexuality, which is totally not true. But such are the things that we are facing. And for that, again, in schools where we have not involved parents, we are making sure that we are having a pad bank where we are always having the pad being refilled always when one is removed. Then they replace the pads, and always, so that's what we are calling the pad bank. I am thinking again of probably education. There's so many people now doing menstrual hygiene. Menstrual hygiene, I think, for the past 3 years has been the in thing. So we are having so many people doing menstrual hygiene organizations, and we are finding that at times you go to a school and they've been given the wrong information. So I have gone to schools, and because someone was giving reusable sanitary towels, we've had someone go to the school and say, when you use the disposable ones, then it has chemicals and it's going to give you cancer, something of that sort. So it is very difficult to have different organizations who do not have information about menstrual hygiene, and they're giving the girls wrong information. We've had also people telling the girls to wash their clothes with hot water, yet hot water cooks the blood. So there are so many challenges that we're facing. Then probably last one would be the government. And so the government in 2017, we had the Basic Education Amendment Bill Act being signed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. That meant that all the donors that we had withdrew money for commodities. So now we can no longer get money to actually buy sanitary towels from donors, because the government is supposed to give. For the past 2 years, I have been following this, and we've only gotten, I think, one supply of sanitary towels, that's just one pack. which is not enough. Girls do menstruate for 12 months in a year, and one pack in a year is not enough. So if we can have the government actually work on that and supply pads every month, and even what is actually written in that act is that the girls are only receiving pads for I think 9 months. So the 3 months that the girls are not in school, they don't get pads. And what I usually tell people is that periods do not go for holidays, so we must get pads for the 12 months and not 9 months. So I think those are the challenges we are having. I think it's an advocacy issue that we must take up with the parliament and other people who are responsible for that. Thank you, Evelyne.
Those are very key and very, very important points that you're bringing in. And it's critical at this moment because you talked about a range of challenges from, having culture sort of like also having an influence on women menstruation, and also the government having a bill that is not as effective as it can be. Like for real, one pack of pad is not enough. And this is something that I'm happy that you're talking about it live and people are able to see it. And I'm hoping that even some of the policymakers are taking in just to hear the real experiences from the ground, because these are things that they should take into account. Thank you so much, Jedida, for that insightful conversation. I don't want to add or subtract because what you said is vital and very key. And right now, I just want to bring in Patrick from Uganda to see, is the situation different in Uganda compared to what we are currently facing in Kenya? That would be also very, very important so that we can compare notes and hear is the Ugandan government or the Ugandan community doing it differently from how we are doing it back here at home. Patrick, if you can hear us. Patrick? Yes, welcome back.
Yes, I can. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
And I hope you can see me as well, right?
Yes, we can also see you, but right now it's a black screen. So hoping maybe check your camera. It's locked out, and then maybe you can.
Oh, okay. I think I know why. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, so Patrick,
Thank you so much. It's indeed a pleasure.
Yes, go on, Patrick.
Yeah. Thanks, Evelyne, for hosting me. It's indeed a pleasure being on this platform, like I earlier shared. This is quite a very interesting topic. When you reached out to me, I was like, wait a minute, I've got so many female staff in my organization, so I shouldn't be the right person to talk about menstruation since I don't have a uterus. But then I was like, well, and Ken came to me and was like, no, you know what, Patrick, we as men, we need to come out strongly and show solidarity and support for menstruation-related issues. And I'm like, yeah. I work with an organization that runs a huge program on menstrual health and management. And one of the things we've been doing is to promote menstruation with dignity. Actually, we have a saying back at UAF that every day is a good day if no girl is left behind or is limited in any way because of their of their period. We promote menstruation with dignity, and we know that menstruation is not just mere pads or tampons or but it's way beyond that. It's dignity. It's giving women and girls the opportunity to enjoy their menstruation without any shame or stigma. It's making facilities available for hand washing facilities. Disposable facilities, and making services, making products available as well, and addressing all forms of stigma. I would say that over the last couple of years, the topic of menstruation in Uganda has picked a lot of attention, more than ever before. When we started advocacy about 5-6 years ago, menstruation wasn't that of a big topic, like let's say teenage pregnancy or family planning or maternal health was. But today, we've seen so many grassroots organizations coming up, so many women's-led organizations, so many young people who call themselves, human rights activists, SRHR activists, women's rights activists. They are coming out strongly to address this point and to make sure that the conversation around menstruation keeps within the limelight. we have seen Ministry of Education open up its doors never than before, to integrate within their planning, within their policies and strategies, issues around menstruation. Actually, Uganda Youth and Adolescent Health Forum, which I lead, is a member of the HIV and Gender Technical Working Group of the Ministry of Education, and that technical working group is responsible for issues in line with reproductive health, HIV, gender, menstruation health, and menstruation health and management. And recently, we've seen they have produced guidelines, which teachers are using to pass on menstruation health and management information to students, because MHM is not a topic, so is not a subject in schools. It's not like they learn it and examine it. So you need deliberate efforts to make sure that issues in line with menstruation are brought out by teachers. So we want to thank our Ministry of Education in Uganda, has been very, very supportive and has been very at the forefront for that. But of course, there is still so much stigma, and like the previous speaker earlier said, there is a lot of stigma that is still associated with menstruation, and not only stigma, but also lack of access to supplies, lack of access to menstrual hygiene commodities and supplies. For example, we have so many girls, millions, rather hundreds of thousands of girls, who are missing out on their potential. I mean, for them, when periods hit, then it means not going to school. We have parents who have not yet appreciated the fact that it's their responsibility. It's not only the government responsibility, but regardless of the little they have, but it's their responsibility to make sure that their daughters have access to supplies and commodities and materials. And as a result, very many girls go without these products, and they miss out on school, they miss out on education, and they have to stay at home. And within the period of staying at home, they're exposed to different forms of violence, including sexual and gender-based violence and other things, and we know that all that has ripple effects. And importantly to note also is that for very many girls, like the previous speaker actually hinted on, is that when they begin their periods, some communities and some traditions and cultures look at them as brides. They're like, oh yeah, you're now ready and ripe for marriage and all that. We're still facing all that, and those are that's the stigma. Those are the myths, the misconceptions that are still associated to menstruation health and management. But what is very, very important though is that we must bring the menstruation health and management conversation into the SRHR policy conversation. Issues in regard with MHM must be looked at from a menstrual health and hygiene perspective, rather must be looked at from a sexual reproductive health perspective, and must be integrated within the policies, strategies, and the positive environment that we talk about, And also, we need to see governments investing more resources in creating supportive environments that can help women and girls to menstruate with dignity and without shame. For example, we want to see separate bathrooms for girls in schools, which are safe and supportive, and supportive, especially in periods when girls are in their period. We need facilities that have access to water in our schools. We need toilets that have access to water. We need facilities that have changing rooms. We need facilities that we need disposable facilities, for example, within our schools. All that means investment. All that means money. Most of our rural schools, for example, cannot afford this. So if it's not the deliberate effort for government to make sure that when you're supporting a rural school, it's not only about the classroom blocks, but it's also about putting a gender lens to that infrastructure development and ensuring that there is toilets, but not just toilets, but separate toilets for boys and girls. And the ones for girls have both of them have access to water, but the girls have access to changing rooms. The girls have access to disposable facilities like incinerators and other things. And also there is a deliberate effort to bring boys on board, not men just, but boys. Because, in my language, in my culture, we have a saying that if you want to bend a tree, you cannot bend it when it's old, when it has turned up into a huge tree. bend it when it's still small and young, So if the boys are brought on board to, understand issues in line with menstruation, and also for the fact that they know that menstruation is really something that is normal, that happens, and also knowing that actually girls are more normal and sexy and romantic and beautiful when they go through their menstruation, like the boys really need to know that, and uh, and work towards destigmatizing all myths around menstruation. I think I'll say that for now. Thanks.
Broken it down, because I really love the aspect when you're saying let's not think about having just men on board, because we cannot break a tree when it's already old. And that brings me to ask you, when you were starting, you talked about a very particular important, and you brought in the aspect of GBV, and especially when you're talking about issues on menstrual health. And I have seen online, and there are a lot of reports that are showing there's a bit of like transactional exchange, and girls may be exchanging sex in exchange for, menstruation commodities. Maybe if you could expound more on that, because this is a crisis we are facing. As much as people don't really want to go deep and understand how can we best support girls, we are having a lot of girls being abused, sexually abused and sexually violated, for them to be able to, get the resources that they need for their menstruation. And it's a big crisis in Africa. So maybe you could talk more about that and help us understand how best, even us as the community, as the government is also trying, what best can we do to break some of these vices in our communities?
I think it's important to understand that menstruation is a right for girls, because this is something that they have to go through regardless of anything. It's just like, actually, for me, my view and my understanding of periods is like food. Like, I cannot do without food, I cannot do without water, I cannot do without clothes and other things. So, like, um, um, for women and girls, periods is all products for, products, commodities for menstruation, for menstruation and management and hygiene are basic products. It's just like the way you need food, you need water, and you need all that. And that's one thing that we really need to understand. And it's not only for the government to understand, but also for parents to understand. So, for example, if you're a parent and you're struggling to pay rent, you're struggling to pay water bills, you're struggling to pay electricity bills and other things, you need to put it at the back of your mind that you have to add on your budget money for procuring menstrual materials for your girls, right? Because they need it. It's actually a shame that adolescent girls are subjected to selling their bodies simply because they want to get some little money to buy products, rather menstrual products. And this, for me, honestly, takes me back to the fact that as communities, we've run away from some of our very essential responsibilities. So, like, for example, break the silence around MHM-related issues. And then we are rushing to telling young people, you know what, abstain, don't have sex, blah, 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 and all that, which at times is actually irrelevant, because we are running away from the essential things and we're tending to concentrate on some things that are not that essential. So for me, I think we know, especially as Africans, we know for sure that not all our our families and communities and households are that wealthy, but we know that there are also many other ways that we can subject girls to go through their periods safely, without shame, without stigma. Even when you don't have money to procure, disposable products. I mean, you can teach your children to, like. I mean, it takes you nothing to teach them. If you can't, maybe get someone who is a very good tailor to teach them how to make their own products. That's if you don't have money to purchase menstrual cups and tampons and others. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's helping them to understand that this is something they have to go through on a monthly basis, and they need some, clean materials to use, and they need to know that it's not a crime to go through it, but it's a biological process that happens that should actually rather make them more proud of who they are as girls, just like the way boys go around swinging around their balls and being proud with them. Girls also need to know that they need to be proud of periods, and parents need to know that. And it's also heartening to find that actually some of the reasons why you find girls selling their bodies to get menstrual products and all that is because parents don't talk about this. Most of the girls get to find out issues in line with menstruation when they have actually got their first period. I come from a family of girls. I grew up with girls. I think I was like literally we're only 2 men in the house or 2 boys in the house. The rest, like 5 of them, were girls. But I don't remember any single day when I saw my sisters menstruating, when I saw a pad or anything. I got to learn about menstruation issues when I was actually at the university, right? And when I, started getting to learn about sustainable development goals and MDGs and all that kind of stuff. And then I asked myself a question like, why did my parents tell me about this, right? And how do they expect me tomorrow when I have a daughter to tell them about this? Neither my dad, my mom, no one told me about this, right? Even in school. So for me, I think it goes back to breaking the stigma, breaking the silence, such that girls are prepared when they're getting into their periods and looking at periods as a basic commodity or as a right. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Wow, yeah, I also love how you're bringing it out when you're saying, as a parent, when you're putting down your shopping list, periods is a basic right. Put down finances to buy girls these basic commodities, and I see a lot of social media comments coming in while you're speaking, and they echo what you're saying, that periods that does not go on holidays. There's no single time that a girl will say, okay, this month I don't want to menstruate. It's a biological thing, it happens. So it's very important that parents also key into this conversation, so that they're also taking the lead. It's also evident when you're saying you grew up in your family and you came to learn about these things when you're in college. That also brings a lot of questions of like, how are parents sitting down with their children in the house to teach them or even to train them on some of the basic and mostly biological things and changes we experience while we're growing up. And I'm hopeful and I'm very happy that you brought this up, because this is also another huge discussion that parents should start having with their children. Siblings, talk about it. If you have a smaller, younger sister with you, talk about it. Tell them how this happens, help them understand, so that when they grow up, they don't feel like I need to sell my body to get a commodity because I cannot approach my father or my mother about what is currently happening to me. And Patrick, maybe just to end, last week you hosted a very, vibrant online show on dance for contraceptives. And it was amazing that, watching it online, the conversation going around were very, very women-based and girls-based. And what really intrigued me is the panel was all male. And that also brings in the aspect of inclusivity, because when you started talking, you're like, okay, I'm a girl, I'm a boy, sorry, or I'm a man. How do I talk about menstruation? But looking at your previous work, you've been very vocal about women issues, women rights, sexual reproductive health for boys, for girls, and for young people in our community. So I just want you to tell us, when you're hosting the dance for contraceptive shows, how are you bringing in also menstrual health conversation in these online shows you're hosting with members of your community?
Thanks so much, Evelyne. The family planning dance party is something that we explored recently, and it actually turned out to work well. Where we got some of the biggest artists in Kampala, Munji, who's like one of the biggest dancehall and rap artists, and who's also a champion and a cultural icon for Uganda Youth and Adolescent Health Forum. So we're like also thinking and saying, what can we do? This is a lockdown. How do we get young people engaged on these issues and blah, 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 but keeping it fun so they don't get bored and all that. And then we're like, wait a minute, why don't we just do this dance party, family planning dance party? And then we just like break myths and misconceptions around family planning. So like we just bombard young people with music online and get like this idol, this artist that they look at as an idol. And then after like doing like 30 minutes of non-stop dance and music and live show, and then we like just get into a few questions, but also keep the comment section very active. And it turned out to work well because we got like over I don't know, over like 100 and something comments coming in, young people asking so many questions. So many myths were coming up, and we're glad that our team was trying to like bust all of them. So we tried it out with family planning, and it's working well. And I think maybe the next one will be on gender equality, on teenage pregnancies, on menstruation. So like we're going to be getting key topics that we shall be addressing, and also selecting a couple of celebrities that we can bring online to work with. Yeah, but it's working really well. It's actually the whole edutainment approach. And like you said, I think we need to start integrating menstruation into entertainment, because there's so many, for example, there's like so many female artists out there who also go through menstruation, just like the girls down there. And it will be, I'm very sure many of them would want to come and share their experiences. So I can promise and commit that we will have a periods dance party soon. Thanks.
Oh, amazing. Thank you very much for committing. We will look forward to that. It's a commitment that has been made, so we will definitely look forward to that. Thank you so much, Patrick, for joining us today and telling us about the situation in Uganda. It's amazing to hear the different perspective, because you hear how Uganda is faring on when you're talking about women and girls and their menstrual health, and now Kenya. And I think it's also a very good platform that we can compare notes to see how best we can support girls in Africa, because Africa is us. So regardless of boundaries or which country you're coming on, our girls are our girls, and we must ensure that we are protecting them all. Thank you very much, Patrick, for that. And right now, I want to bring or to welcome Rebecca from Mombasa. Can you hear me, Rebecca from Mombasa? And I just want you to tell us what is the situation in Mombasa. And I know you work with the Stretchers organization, and the Stretchers organization also have a campaign dubbed the Period Month that is being run by one of your colleagues. So maybe just tell us how you guys do it in Mombasa, and the situation when you're talking about menstrual health. How is it for girls in Mombasa? What's happening there?
Okay, thank you so much, Evelyne, for this opportunity. Once again, my name is Rebecca from Stretchers Youth Organization, and I'm also this W champion. And if I can just give the situation currently in Mombasa is that menstrual hygiene talk, there are a lot of partners who have come up together to address these issues of menstruation. And like before, some 2 years, 3 years back, menstruation was not very key in the community. But now you find that we have a lot of individuals, we have a lot of partners, including us, Stretchers Youth Organization. We are really focusing on these issues of menstrual hygiene to ensure that these adolescents and the young people understand what menstruation is and how they can cope up with it. In the situation currently, you know that a lot of communities right now are a lot of communities right now are spending more than earning. So having a sanitary pad is quite a challenge, as much as the government has taken initiative when they were doing some packages, when people are getting some food stuff. When you could open that food stuff, at least there were 2 packets of sanitary pads, which is a plus to the county government. However, not every community was able to get this sanitary pad, because we found that the names were written by the village elders, but now there are those communities that were not able to access them. So we found that they still face a lot of challenges. With us as Stretchers, some 3 weeks back, we had an initiative known as Menstrual Banking Initiative, where we were asking some well-wishers to provide us some sanitary pad, and we were able to distribute them to community level in the slum areas. The slums were the Kalahari slum, where we were able to give at least 100 girls benefited from these sanitary pads that were given by the community members. So with us, we can say that we're really trying a lot, as much as it is not very sufficient to every girl there in the community, but we still hope that we are going to get more pads to give girls who are not able to get from the county government. And apart from that, we still have online conversation with these young girls, so that they understand that it is very important for them to take care of themselves during this period. As much as they cannot afford, even if they're using a piece of cloth, then they should ensure that the piece of cloth they are using, it is clean. even if we have challenges of water in the county, but we are doing advocacy to ensure that these girls they maintain hygiene so that they may not get some challenges during after the pandemic. Because you see, when the hygiene is not well practiced, then we might have some infection challenges. Yeah, so that is the situation currently. But we understand that there are places like in Old Town where people are totally locked down and they're not able even to go outside to look for these pads. So you find that like these girls now, it might affect them even psychologically. There are issues of mental challenges right now to these young girls. Personally, I really appreciate, because to me, I've been using menstrual cup for the last 3 years. So with me, I don't have any problem, because the menstrual cup that I was provided by DSW during the Nico Free project has really assisted me. I don't have to go outside and buy some sanitary pad. But if I have that money to buy pad, I assist other girl in the community who is not able to afford. So I've assisted like several girls in my community. They're able to get this sanitary pad, because with me, I'm not using the sanitary pad. I'm using the menstrual cup that I was provided by the DSW. So I really thank the organization, because I didn't know. I now understand the importance of it, because I didn't know that lockdown was coming. That they to reach a time where we are not able to go outside or to afford the sanitary pad. But with me, if I can just show you that this is what I'm using, and I'm really, really, really appreciating DSW for providing me this one. And it was not only me, but other girls in the community were also able to benefit from it. And from using it, from my experience, it is a very good experience. I can really say that it is something that has made me learn a lot on menstrual hygiene, and I'm also able to sit with other girls in my community and talk to them on the issues of menstrual hygiene management. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for for that insightful information, and how a lot of organizations are coming in to help you. And I'm very happy that you've mentioned DSW, because we have them today on the call, and they're going to expand more on their project and tell us, how they're also working in the different communities just to support women and girls in the community. And it's amazing the initiative that Stretches Youth Organization is running, because you literally look into keying in men involvement, having boys and men in the conversation, so that we break the stigmas and conversation. So to our online viewers, that was Rebecca Chen from all the way from Mombasa. And like you've had people in all town who are on lockdown, there is that issue, because we ask.
Evelyne, yeah, we also have the aspect of male involvement, which is very key right now. We have the Period Man Initiative, who is also a member of Stretchers Youth Organization, and is making sure to involve every man or every boy from every community, and not only in Kenya, but is involving from other countries. So the Period Man is ensuring that men are also involved. And the aspect of male involvement means that when these boys understand that the issues of menstrual hygiene management, the issue of stigma will also reduce, because we find that stigma always comes when this male start talking about menstruation when girls mess up. So with the issues of male involvement, as Stretchers Youth Organization, we are also taking the forefront to ensure that there is inclusion of male. And we also find that there's a challenges, because some women also don't want to talk about menstruation, which is very amusing. When sometimes we meet other women, and they also feel shy to talk about the issues of menstruation. So it is a really a big task that we are doing to ensure that even those nyanyas and mamas, they are able to call their children so that they talk to them. Because if they can fear talking about menstruation, what about this coming generation? They'll fear more. So it is up to us to ensure that every woman, every boy is also involved. So like we are aware this is the month of menstrual hygiene, and the Period Man is also together with our organization, Stretchers Youth Organization. We are bringing more partners on board, because we are yet to conduct a Men for Period conference, which will include every partner is welcome to take part in the Men for Period conference that is yet to take place next month. So it is a big task that you are taking as Stretchers Youth Organization and also for the period man. Yeah.
Okay, I hope all of you, our online viewers, has heard it from the horse's mouth herself. That is Rebecca Ching from all the way from Mombasa, and you've heard about all the initiatives they're doing to help women and girls in the community. Thank you so much for joining us for this live event. Remember, if you're watching us online, you can actually tweet your question or Facebook your question, put the hashtag Tubonga Thursday, and we'll be able to present those questions to our great panel so that they're able to respond to your key insight and your key questions, because they are here today and we have them, so they're also able to respond. Thank you very much, Rebecca. And before I bring in Collins from DSW, I just want to take us to Kibera, and I want to call out for my co-host, Stephen, if you can hear me. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, amazing. How are you?
We are fine.
Karibu sana to Tubonge Thursdays. You can tell us your name and where you are.
Okay, my name is Odhiambo.
Yes,
I'm Baronet Kerubo.
Yes, welcome Baronet and Natalie.
Yes, we are welcomed.
So where are you right now and what are you doing?
We are live from Kibera, Kings and Queens.
Amazing. So the topic of discussion today is about menstrual health. And
Yes.
maybe I will just ask the two of you to tell us, when we are talking about menstrual health, what does that mean to you as a young girl?
Okay, when you're talking about menstrual health, it's about periods and all that.
Okay, to me, I can say that it's like in Kiswahili it's called kunyesha or mashiro.
Okay, so I'm pretty much sure you've been following the conversation, and even as we had our first guest Lemaron talk about, the different names that we dub our menstruation. Like you've also said, you call it kunyesha or mashiro, and maybe when you're following up the conversation, you're able to hear how she talks about having proper education when we're talking about our menstrual health, and we as women and girls being very open and honest to talk about this conversation. So I just want to ask the two of you, right now, with COVID-19 and everything that is happening, how is menstruation for you, at this moment? Are you able to access these products? Are you able to access clean water to help you at this particular time?
No, we are not able to assess all of those. Like now with this curfew, let's say you have started your periods at 8 p.m. or 7 a.m. and you're supposed to be in the house. So it's difficult to go outside and buy pads, since all the shops and maybe the chemistry where you can buy those menstrual towels are closed. So it is difficult to find places to assess such things to use. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
So okay, yes, go ahead. If you have something to add.
Okay, like this curfew, you can't go outside even within 1 minute. So it's so hard, and water has been a problem for now. So it's so hard to deal with that.
Yeah, it's very evident that the situation is totally hard and very difficult for women and girls in our community. But hearing you speak of saying, if I start to menstruate at 7 p.m., and in Kenya, lockdown started at 7, and we all can attest to the fact that our police are not as friendly as we will hope them to be, and it's very difficult at that moment. So what do you do at that time? You are at home and your period has started and you cannot go outside to buy the resources that you need. What do you do as young girls?
Let's say you have started your periods at that time that the curfew is supposed to start. So the best thing you can do, at least you can go to your friend or your neighbor and borrow a sanitary towel to use at the moment. Then you'll go to, let's say the next day you'll go to the chemistry or to the shop and get a sanitary towel to use. So the best way is you can borrow your neighbor or your friend.
Okay, for me, I can say that okay, this issue is not acceptable. You can just look for a piece of cloth you use for just that one night. During the morning, you just go and look for the other one.
Oh, and maybe you can only answer this. Let me just say you can answer this if you feel very comfortable answering, because we are also live. Do you feel very comfortable using the clothes?
No, it's not comfortable. You know, it's just you have been just forced to do it.
Exactly. So the situations are forcing many of our young girls and women into very dire situation, and especially when we are having our menstruation and the lockdown and the COVID-19, there's so much that has been neglected that should be incorporated in the response to COVID-19, because there's some specific things that does not stop because we have a pandemic. And you've heard it from the two young girls from Kibera who've joined us, and they've spoke about their experiences. So sometimes when advocacy is being done and the numbers are there, it's not about the numbers, because the faces are here to show us that indeed there is a huge gap and there's a huge need for us to be able to incorporate menstrual hygiene and menstrual conversation into our conversation. And I just want to bring in Jadida. Jadida, please welcome. I'm sure you really have something to tell our young girls and maybe ask them a few questions.
Okay. Thank you, Evelyne. I just had them talking about the use of clove, and like your comment about it, as much as many people now do not use cloth, I want to say that the other aspect of menstrual hygiene is only to have, when we say of menstrual products, as much as now everyone is used to use probably the disposable sanitary towel, it is not wrong actually to use the cloth, so long as so long as it's safe and clean. At times, in dire needs, like you've called it, you have to use something to collect your menstruation and to absorb your menstruation. So when you find yourself in a place where you cannot afford or even access sanitary towels at that particular time, it is actually not wrong to use a piece of cloth, so long as the cloth is clean and the cloth is actually safe. So for me, that is actually what I would say around that, because most of the times we think that, okay, now girls are going to die because they use cloth. No, so long as that piece of cloth is clean, then it's safe to use. So that is the other thing, and the other aspect of menstrual hygiene, that we also have to understand that if a parent does not have money to buy sanitary towels, then what are we going to do? Are we going then to say that this girl would stay at home? But even when we are teaching, there are ways we teach girls to, sew the cloth, the piece of cloth, because now we have the reusable sanitary towels, which is actually a piece of cloth. So it is something that we have to also start accepting, that when we talk about sanitary towels, we don't only talk about the disposable ones.
For coming in to really clarify that, and also because I feel what you've talked about right now is very key and very important, being that not all of us can access the management materials and resources. So being able to have the clothes, it is clean for your health also. I think that is superb that you've actually mentioned it, so that even people out there who are wondering or asking themselves questions, so Kama, I don't have a pad or a tampon, what can I do? And I hope our live viewers, you've heard it from Jadida. Using a piece of cloth is not wrong, provided it is clean and safe for your health. Thank you so much, our beautiful girls, for joining us for this conversation. And I really do appreciate you taking time to share with us your stories and how you're currently managing your menstrual health at this particular and difficult moment. And all maybe I can say is keep safe and try as much as possible to keep safe, protect yourself and protect other girls. So thank you very much. And that was our young adolescent girls all the way from Kibera, and you've heard from them, our live viewers. Situations are different. These are dire and very difficult times, and how things are happening, then we need to come together to support and help each other. Just moving on swiftly, this is a whole lot of conversation, and I'm pretty much learning a lot. Trust you me, there's a lot of things I didn't know, and just listening to our guests and our panels talk about it, I'm like, wow. So I also need a menstrual hygiene education, and I will look for Jadida just to help me also understand so that when I'm asking and when I'm talking about this conversation, I'm also very factual and talking about things that will not only help me but help every member of our community. And I just want to bring in now Collins from DSW. We've had Rebecca talk about DSW, you know, the amazing job you're doing. But now we want to hear it from you and how you're doing it. Maybe you could also just introduce DSW, what you guys do in the ground and how the work you've been having with the young people and especially girls in our community. Karibu sana, Collins. We can see you speak, yeah.
Right. Now you should be able to hear me. Thank you very much for having. Thank you very much for having us today. DSW Kenya is an NGO. It is a country office of a big organization, an international development organization called DSW. And the work that we do is with young people. We work with young people, empowering them for a healthy and satisfactory future. And what we do with them, number one, is to ensure that we empower them to access information and service regarding sexual and reproductive health, including family planning. Number two, we support them to eliminate the gender inequalities, to work towards eliminating the gender inequalities that exist in their environments, in their communities, and where they live. Number three, we also work with them to empower them and ensure that they understand how public processes work, how decision making is done, and so that they can occupy those spaces, advocate for their own needs, and ensure that themselves and other young people in their communities have their needs taken care of, whether it's sexual and reproductive health needs, whether it is economic needs, whether it is any issue on gender, whatever it is that they feel they need, they are taken care of. And finally, we work with them, linking them up, training them on economic issues. One of the biggest challenges that young people in Kenya face, and I think not just in Kenya, in Africa, and the world over face, is that many of them do not have access to economic opportunities. So we train them and we link them up to capital to start and run their businesses. So that is the kind of work that we do in general. However, on menstrual hygiene, menstrual health and hygiene management, we work with young people in 16 counties. But for this particular work, we work with young people in 2 counties, specifically in West Pokot County and in Kilifi County. We are implementing an adolescent health initiative called Holistic Action Program for Young Adolescents. It's in short, we call it HAPA. And essentially that project is working in those communities in Kacheliba and Kaloleni sub-county to create a conducive environment for the sexual and reproductive health and rights of adolescent boys and girls. So it is boys and girls, and I'm happy that the other participants have talked about the work that they are doing with both boys and girls. And of course now, because you're talking about the community, then you have teachers, you have the health workers, you have other members of the community, you have community leaders, you have men, you have women, you have everyone involved, so that these young people, these young adolescents are living in a community that is safe for them.
Wow, it's amazing. So I think maybe before I jump into asking you some specific questions, I just want us to play a short videos from you guys, so that also people can see how, you know, when a girl transitions, when she is empowered, when she is educated, how that is very essential to the community and bringing them together. So guys, we're going to go on a short break to play for you this video from DSW that is very informative. When we come back, we'll dig into asking Colin some more questions so that we get to understand how best they also did. Please stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Sylvia and I'm 14 years old. My whole life, people have been telling me what I should and shouldn't do. Do this, do that. But it's my life and I want to decide how to live it myself. And instead of half knowledge, I want proper information because I have the right to know everything about my body, about sexuality, about contraception, and about my rights. I'm the one who decides what happens with my body, and I need to be protected in case someone else has a different opinion on that. With 13 or 14 years, I don't want to have to marry an older man like many other girls have to do, just because my parents say that I should. And then I should change my school books for a broom? Become a mother at such a young age? No! My life belongs to me and me alone. Perhaps I'll become a doctor, a teacher, or even a famous photographer. I have the right to fulfill my dreams. Hi, I'm Sylvia, 25 years old, grown up, healthy, and of course, I still dream of falling in love with the right person. I have the right to decide with whom I want to be together. It is my decision. It is also our decision how many children to have, whether it's 1 child, 2 children, 3 children, or even no children at all. But that can only work if I can choose for myself. I need to have access to the contraceptives that fit my needs. And when I want to have a child, I have the right to a proper health system, before birth, during birth, and after birth for me and my child. We have our lives in our own hand, and we decide. It is our right.
Yes, you guys.
Hi everybody.
Hi guys, my name is Jenny Machula, Taragas High School.
My name is Rafael Juma from Tata County Student School.
My name is Maureen Shitawa. I'm from Shenas Girls High School located in Nakuru County.
Mimi Matu, Makimaina, Ika High.
Hi guys, I'm Belinda Sifuna, Menstrual Girls School from 4.
I'm in Form 3 and you're watching Straight Talk TV.
Watching Straight Talk TV.
I'm in Form 4, the school is in Machakos County, and you're watching Straight Talk TV. Keep watching.
Yes, welcome to our online viewers, back again to our Tubonga Thursday, and like you've heard in the video, this is Straight Talk TV, where we dissect information and we start by the motto, educate, empower, and entertain, because we believe that to bring an information in an entertaining way, then you're able to bring everybody together. And I just also want to welcome DSW back. Sorry, I'll say Collins. To welcome Collins back, so that we really we've watched the video. It's very interesting and very informative of how a girl transition and she's able to, make these choices. For herself, like giving her the power of agency to be able to make these choices. And that is also one aspect of menstruation. That is another aspect when we're talking about menstruation. How can we be able to make these choices correctly? But before you answer that, you talked about how you guys work closely with men in the community, boys and girls in the community. And I just want to ask, what are some of the opportunities for advocacy? Because already you're doing the work, and this is a work that needs to be amplified so that we have a huge support system in the community. So what are some of the opportunities for advocacy in making also our leaders accountable? Because if you looked into what our previous guests talked about is, they have signed these policies, but it's not being fully implemented. They are doing this, but it's not reaching every girl. So maybe you can talk more about that.
All right. So I think it's extremely important for us to recognize where we've come from. As I think Patrick and Jedida said before me, menstrual hygiene and menstrual hygiene management has not been a topic that many of us thought about in the recent past. I think it's only in the last 3, 4, 5 years that it has become something big that we are thinking about. And maybe it's because of the kind of spaces that we occupy. We now know that menstrual hygiene management is a human rights issue. If half the population of a country cannot do what they need to do on a day-to-day basis simply because they're menstruating, that is a problem. So we've come from a point where menstrual hygiene and menstrual health were issues that were not on the forefront of our thinking. Now we are somewhere where policies, we have laws, we have thinking about menstrual health and menstrual hygiene management, and so we are better off right now, considering where we've come from. So right now, we in Kenya, for instance, we have some good legal framework, policy framework for us to start at. Maybe I could mention this, that we have, as Jedida has mentioned, we have the Basic Education Amendment Act of 2017 that mandates the government to provide sanitary towels to every girl going to public school. So I think that in itself is a win. However, since that program kicked off in 2017, I think they have not hit their targets. I can give you a snapshot of the data that they published last year in November. The program, the menstrual hygiene, the sanitary towel program, started in 2017-2018, the financial year 2017-2018. They were targeting 3.7 million girls in 2017-2018. They only reached 2.9 million girls. In 2018-2019, which is last year, they were targeting 4.2 million girls, and they only reached 1 million girls, unfortunately. So the sector is not doing well, and they say that they were not able to hit their targets simply because there were delays in money being released, and then the procurement process, and so on and so forth. However, even the Minister of Education himself recently said that the money that has been allocated for the program is not enough to reach all the girls who are in need. So you can see now, we are now having proper conversation. So we know now that the government has been mandated to provide menstrual hygiene products for these girls. Now the government has to find money. We have to find money from our taxpayers' funding, and as Jedida has correctly put it, it does not matter what you and I do. It is very difficult for us to meet that need consistently and for every girl. So the government should, from our public resources, take the lead, provide the sanitary towels for 90% of the girls, 90% of the time. Then the rest of us, private sector, private individuals, and so on, they can take care of the 10% at 10% of the time. So that is where we are right now. We are in a place where we have a favorable environment, policy and legal environment. The opportunity that we have is for us now to engage with the budget making process, especially simply because in Kenya, the budget making process is participatory. The government is mandated to talk to us about the budget that they're creating. And so we have an opportunity to go in. This week, we have a small group of NGOs that has been having a conversation, civil society organizations that have been having a conversation about the budget. And one of the key asks that group is going to present to the National Assembly is for this program to be funded. Not only for this program to be funded, but for Parliament to hold the responsible departments in government responsible for implementing the program. If we are targeting to reach 4.2 million girls, school-going girls with sanitary towels, and in 2018-2019 we only reached 1 million, that means there are 3 million girls who have not received the sanitary towels that they need. And remember, if these girls do not receive these sanitary towels, they will miss school. They will miss 20% of their time in school in any given academic year. So the opportunity we have is to engage with the National Assembly in the budget making process to ensure that money is allocated, but also for them to hold the specific. This program has been implemented by the State Department for Gender. The State Department for Gender also needs to be held accountable. So we need to know that money has been allocated. They go ahead and they buy the pads. They go ahead and distribute those pads to all the children who are required. The Minister of Education is on record saying the 420 million shillings that has been allocated in the recent past is not enough. So we need 1.5 billion. Let us allocate 1.5 billion from the money that we have, and make sure that we buy those pads and provide those pads to the girls who need it. But advocacy for sanitary towels is just one, as Jedida, I think, and Patrick have said. We also have other things that need to go alongside that. We need sanitation facilities, not just in schools. We need sanitation facilities everywhere in public markets, public places. We need enough water for this, for women and girls to have access to, so that if in the event that a woman is in town and they need to go and put on a pad or change the pad that they have on, or as Rebecca uses the menstrual cups, then they have access to a facility, they have access to water. That is extremely important. So the opportunity that you have, I think in Kenya, I'll speak in the Kenyan context because I'm familiar with what is happening. We have the opportunity to engage in budget advocacy for these two things, because these are things that we can ask the government to do, and I think the government is reasonable enough to do it for us.
Yeah, that is very, very interesting, and I just love the aspect of you bringing in public participation in budget making, because that will also ensure that women and young girls' voices come in, that the government really needs to budget for menstrual health, because it's not just about the pad like what you say. It's also there's facility needed, there's water needed. On all these things need good financing just to ensure that women and girls are safe and secured. And maybe just to jump right in and ask you another question, because I know DSW works very closely with young people. So what role does young people play when you're talking about menstrual hygiene and menstrual health?
Yeah, and you know, I could have gone ahead and told you a long story about the work that we do, but I'm happy Rebecca is with us. Rebecca is a young person that we work with, and she has been involved in the work that we do. I have seen someone else, the period man, Atito. Atito is another one of our young people that we work with, and every time they've been popping up on my screen, I've been very happy because these are people that we work with. So young people have a role to play in menstrual hygiene management and menstrual health. Number one, from where we sit, we usually empower these young people through training and mentorship for them to engage in budget and policy advocacy. That is the first thing we enable them to do, because in the spaces they occupy, they actually understand the need. So that in the event that, for instance, in their community where Rebecca lives in Chakamwe, they have a problem with water, right? I mean, if Rebecca and her community does not go and engage with the county government to deal with the water issues, the county government may never address that issue. Number two, we empower them to engage in community education, exactly what they are saying they are going to do. The Period Man is a program that Stretchers Youth Organization is doing. And I know that other young youth-led organizations that we work with are also engaging in community education, both in their communities and at policy-making level. Basically, destigmatizing menstruation, ensuring that menstruation is a topic that is up for discussion, that we can discuss it, and we make it normal for people to understand that women and girls of reproductive age will have to undergo menstruation every month, and they require the necessary support for them to safely and with dignity go through their menstruation. So the second thing that we do is community education, so that they ensure that their communities, members of their community, are involved, and there's a safe space for girls and women to practice safe for their menstrual hygiene. And the third thing that we do with these young people is that we, because of the work that they do and the passion that they display in the work that they do, they mobilize and distribute hygiene products, menstrual hygiene products in their communities. As Rebecca has said, they mobilized menstrual pads for 100 young people. And I know that Stretchers Youth Organization is one organization that has done that. There's another one that we work with here in Nairobi. It's called the Link Empowerment Center. The Link Empowerment Center has also done that work. Safe Community in Kilifi County has also been doing that. So all this, the Declares organization in West Pokot. So all these we have a network of over 100 young youth-led organizations across the country, and they are doing this. They are mobilizing support for menstrual hygiene products from organizations, from well-wishers, from all over the place, so that women and girls in their communities who cannot access menstrual hygiene products, especially at this time where we are, in this COVID-19 pandemic, they are able to safely and with dignity go through their menstruation.
Very, very key, and I'm very sure young people watching us from live, you've heard what Collins has said. You have a role to play. Remember, you are a part of the community, and these girls and women are our sisters, our mothers, and our aunts. So for us to ensure we're providing a safe space, it is time also for us to join in and create a movement where we ensure that, you know, when budget is being planned, let our voices be heard. You know, when we're talking about girls, can we present ourselves and be able to articulate these issues? And just like Collins has also said, when there's a young power, you can see how amazing things are happening. So if you're watching us either from Twitter or Facebook, remember to put down your questions, because we'll definitely ask our panels. Remember, we have Jedida here, Lemaron from Malkia Initiative, and she'll be able to respond to your questions. We have also Patrick all the way from Uganda, they'll be able to respond to your questions. We have Collins also from DSW, and when you bring in your questions, they'll be definitely able to respond so that we get to understand this together. And maybe Collins, just also to ask, you know, while Jedida was talking earlier, and also I hope you heard it also from Collins, that, you know, the government will say, okay, we are providing you one sanitary pack. And Jedida said, we have 12 months. I have 12 months. And ideally, even in 1 month, one packet is not enough for me, you know. So what do you think will be the change if we ensure that all girls are able to access sanitary towels and sanitary pads and everything that they need, not just for a month, but for the entire 12 months? What change will it bring? How will that be for our girls and women in our community?
Okay. So and that is a very loaded question, simply because this is how and I'm going to summarize it in three things, and then I will explain. If all women and girls are able to access menstrual hygiene products, if all women and girls can menstruate safely, dignity everywhere, that will mean good health and well-being for all women and girls in our communities. It will mean access to education and economic opportunity for women and girls. It will also mean gender equality for our society. And this means that as a society, we will do better than we are right now. Remember, if half of the working population in the country cannot work, cannot be productive, cannot engage in social activity simply because they are undergoing menstruation, and our structures, our community structures, and our society is not, the environment that they are living in is not friendly for their menstrual health, then it means that we are operating at below par. So half of the team is not playing, for us, and therefore we cannot win. But I can go ahead and just expound on this. Number one, I think the most important thing is that women everywhere can manage their menstruation with dignity, whether they are at home, in school, and in public places. I think that is extremely important. Someone can go out and do their business despite the fact that they're menstruating, and it is okay for that, simply because we've created that safe environment. Also, I think the second thing that I'm very keen to mention is that if all women and girls have access to menstrual hygiene and health, if they are able to undergo their menstruation with dignity and safely, it means that fewer of them are going, especially for me, the girls. I think for us, especially the girls, fewer and fewer of them are going to be vulnerable for exploitation. We know very well that because many girls, many young girls cannot access the sanitary products that they need in the right environment, then there are people who have been said to take advantage of them in the community, and we've heard of stories of sex for pads and such like stories. So if all women and girls can access the products and the environment is safe enough for them to undergo their menstruation safely and with dignity, then it means that fewer and fewer of our girls are going to be up for, they are going to be opened up to exploitation, meaning fewer of them will get pregnant when they are young, fewer of them will be infected with HIV and other STIs, fewer of them will be married off when they are young. So I think that for me is the other thing that I can just mention as an example of good health and well-being for all women, access to education and economic opportunities, and gender equality. So for us, those are the three things that we see. If all women and girls can access favorable environments for them to undergo their menstruation with dignity and safely, that is how we can summarize it.
Wow, amazing. And I really love how you put it, because like Patrick said earlier, it's a basic human right. Lemoran has talked about it as being very essential, and I would definitely also love to get Lemoran's and Patrick's response to this last question also. But before Lemoran and Patrick comes in, I just want to take us to Italy for like 2 minutes and just get to also know what is happening in Italy right now. What is the situation when you're talking about menstrual hygiene? How is it like? And I just want to welcome Mohammed. Hello, can you hear us? Mohammed, unaweza kutusikia?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Amazing. So I am sure you've been following up on the
Yeah,
conversation
I have been.
and what our amazing guests have to say when we're talking about menstrual hygiene. Maybe unaweza kutuambia what is the situation in Italy talking about menstrual health and now that you have COVID?
Well, honestly, this topic is a very a very taboo topic. Like people don't talk about it openly like that. So there was a team late last year who were doing menstrual education around Isli, and I don't know what happened, but after some months, we didn't heard from them. So, listening to your talk, I learned a lot. Yeah, I can say that. Besides that, for Isli, it has been a week since the lockdown came into effect, and today early morning, the shops have been reopened following a meeting between the interior minister, that is Fred Matiang'i, and the Sli business community leaders who who are in a meeting over the weekend, and they came up with issues they talked about issues and what they can do before they open the shops. And I guess they have done all that that was required of them, and today they have reopened the shops. So and around 1 p.m. today, I was in Isli, and the shops were opened. People were just around in the market doing their shoppings, but then you can feel the situation has changed here in Isli. People here, for now, people were dispersed today. You can feel it is a festival season for the Muslims here. In a week's time, we will be going to have a festival. But and normally, on a normal time, this is the time that Isli would be busy. The roads of Isli would have been so busy. But today, I was just it was just amazing. You will see there are fewer people, and some few shops were closed, but most of the malls were open. I think it is the first day or that they have reopened, but I don't know if things would change. But for now, it seems there is a huge change when it comes to sleep, the behavior of the people. The people are so dispersed. You can't you see fewer people around the streets now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hamed, for that. I'll get back to you, but I see Patrick wants to leave. Patrick, maybe before you go, you could maybe tell us your final words and as you join the next meeting. Patrick, yes, welcome. Before you leave us to your next meeting, maybe you could tell us your final words before you go. Yes. Patrick, can you hear us? Okay, I think maybe Patrick is a little bit struggling to hear us, but just to let you, our viewers, know that was Patrick all the way from Uganda talking about, menstrual health and menstrual hygiene in Uganda. And he sends his regard, but he currently has to leave for another meeting. And we'll just say thank you so much, Patrick, for joining us. We totally appreciate your time, for being here with us, and we've been delighted to also learn from you and how Uganda is doing it. So stay safe even as you join your next meeting. Mohammed, while you were talking earlier on, you talked about how menstrual conversations is a taboo. Why is that a taboo? I mean, is it because of religion and culture that makes menstrual hygiene a taboo, a conversation to talk about?
No, I guess it is just like it is just a cultural thing. People don't talk about it openly like that. So I guess there is a lot of like they need a lot of like a lot of education on this particular subject. And for like for late last year, a group of ladies were doing that, and they have gone to so many schools around Isli, and they were telling like even boys like this happens to your sister, and it is just like a normal thing. I don't know after that what happened, but if you could see on Twitter around that time, you could see like people, men, like Somali men, contributing pads and those things like to that group of women, so that they can distribute. But nowadays, like I guess it is because of the COVID-19, but there has been like they have been mute for some months now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mohammed, for joining us and for telling us the situation currently in Isili with the lockdown in a small estate now that the Kenyan government has put that into place. We just hope all of you guys are safe, and thank you for bringing in the views of how you're talking about mental health, how also that happens in Isili. So to our online viewers, as you've heard from Mohammed, that is the situation also in Isili, and it's a conversation that we all have to take. So we're just gonna go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll be closing, having our main guests to give us our final say, our final words. And just to say sorry, it's taken a lot of time, but trust me, it's a conversation that is worth the time. So let's go for that short break.
Guys.
Hi everybody.
Hi guys, my name is Jenny Machule, Taragas High School.
My name is Rafael Juma from Tata County Student School.
My name is Maureen Shitawa. I'm from Girls High School located in Nakuru County.
Mimi Matu, Makimaina, Ika High.
Hey guys, I'm Belinda Sifuna, Girls School from 4.
I'm in Form 3 and you're watching Straight Talk TV.
Watching Straight Talk TV.
I'm in Form 4, the school is in Machakos County, and you're watching Straight Talk TV. Keep watching.
Welcome back, guys, and I just want to request all our guests to sort of like come back, because we're in the last minute of this amazing race. We've been really dissecting the elephant in the room and understanding how different organizations are fully working to ensure women and girls have they have safe resources. There's a good infrastructures put in just to ensure they flow with beauty, because periods is beautiful. But before that, I just want to give my co-host Steve, nakupatia dakika tano. I know you have a guest with you. Maybe she can tell us also a few things before we close this. Steve, can you hear us?
I can actually hear you. Hello?
Yes, I know you have a guest.
Yes, actually I have a guest, and today I only have, let me just flip my camera for that purpose. So I'm gonna give her my earphones, and then I'm gonna ask her 2 questions, and then I will also, we can also get questions from you, Evelyne, for our guest for the day, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Hi everybody.
Hi guys, my name is Jenny Machule, Taragas High School.
My name is Rafael Juma from Taita Taveta County, East End School.
My name is Maureen Shitawa. I'm from Shenas Girls High School located in Nakuru County.
Mimi ni Matu, Makimaina, Ika High.
Hey guys, I'm Belinda Sifuna, Menstrual Girls School from 4.
I'm in Form 3 and you're watching Straight Talk TV.
Watching Straight Talk TV.
I'm in Form 4, the school is in Machakos County, and you're watching Straight Talk TV. Keep watching.
Yes, karibu.
Hello, tell us your name. Tell us your name and what you do.
My name is Christina Mondi, and I'm currently managing this center we are hosting from here today. It's called Kings and Queens of Kibera.
Tell us a little bit about Kings and Queens of Kibera.
Kings and Queens of Kibera has been here mostly as Kings of Kibera for the past 15 years. I joined sometime early last year, and we've just brought in the girls, so that's why it's now called Kings and Queens of Kibera. I'm sure Steve showed you the space. We've done a bit of new construction and things like that. We are hosting kids. We take the most vulnerable, the needy, some street children, and our main objective is education. So they live with us. We take them to school, all the way to college or university. So whatever, like the age group we have now, we'll journey with them to that period of either they are completing their university studies or college studies, and then we can pick a new group. Currently, we have 18 children who are within the center. We are still looking forward to maybe after COVID to get some more girls to also join the group. We only have 4 at the moment. And we have donor funded. We are supported by individuals who are not from here mostly, and just make sure we have the fees, we have the food, we have the clothing. The parents have access to the children. For those who have the parents, they can come and visit. We do share holidays in terms of 1 week they're home, 1 week they're here, just to make sure they keep on with their studies. But yeah, just a summary of what we are.
Yeah, I actually saw some apps around.
Yes.
So what kind of other programs do you run?
Just flip to that wall. This is part of the artwork done by we call them, we group them in generations. So the second generation is now in university. So when we did the house, one of them did this artwork. So wow. Yes, and that's the same artwork on the other wall. And so we don't really say projects we have, but our goal is to make sure we raise all-rounded children in terms of what they can do. And so if you're good in art, we let you explore. I think you've seen some of them trying to be scientists and making solar panels by themselves somewhere around here. So we support, they do scripts, they do plays, they do art, everything that they show potential in that they're good at, we try to build that.
Wow. There's something also that I've realized that it's different with his own. Actually, it's within Kibera, at the end of Kibera. And I've realized you guys are CCTV, you guys are doing happy birthday. These kids are eating healthy. And as you say, some of these kids will actually grow with them. So I am 100% sure the topic today makes a lot of sense, because some of these kids will also become teens very soon. So what's your take on the topic?
You found that I already had packs of donations for supporting the sanitary hygiene. But for me, as a woman, my personal experience, my first period experience happened in school, and I stained my dress, and people laughed at me. But I didn't know. And I think that's an experience for many other girls around the world. And so our role and the reason why we have them is because if you walk around Kibera, you'll meet needy people who will tell you, oh, madam, could you please buy for me this? I know we've gone to schools to even support and encourage the sanitary donations that are being given. But for me, it is important because I do not want another girl to be laughed at because they sent their clothes. It stayed with me. And so they are available. I'm willing to buy. I'm willing to help people raise money. I'm willing to support any movement that will be able to encourage a free system. You know, this conversation about menstruation is not a choice, and so sanitary towels should be made free, or maybe prices that are affordable even to those who really don't have money, because we are aware that we are not all financially at the same level. So it is also important to me because now we are raising girls, and eventually one day this will happen, and I would still want the same for them, that they will have a safe space for menstrual periods days. They will have a space where they're financially not struggling to even be able to support that season, because it is something that you go through for a lifetime. It's not, once it starts, it goes on for so many years. So you're stuck for so many years spending money on the same thing every single month. So when you look at it, even a cost effectiveness, there's a lot of challenges, and that's why it's even a heavier burden, because it's not something that skips 3 months and then it comes back. It's monthly. Then you find hormonal issues, mood swings, and everything that comes along with it. And I see memes coming out and people making fun of girls and women being on their periods and being moody and being all those things. It covers a lot. So this is a conversation that we should continue having in terms of let people know the challenges that women face, the challenges that girls face, and what support systems can be made available for them.
I'm going to throw my last question. Yes. And this is because you're handling both boys and girls.
Yes.
And we are realizing all the boys need to have this sensation or the period talk. So is this part of the plan in the center?
Yeah, yes. Part of our education plan in terms of long-term goals is that when they reach a certain age, then we have this conversation separately, and then we have the conversation also as a group, because you cannot empower girls to know about this and then not empower boys on the same, because they are always relating, be it in school, be it in the family setup. You have to ensure that as you educate your girls on the challenges and this development thing, that you also educate your boys, and so that they are aware of also these consequences. When my period starts, does it mean I'm growing it? So if I'm growing, what are the consequences? And that's why we're talking about teenage pregnancy, we're talking about all this, because these are conversations we keep having separately. Can they all be also supported as a group?
So the center is giving actually a royal package in terms of growth for the children.
Oh, well, all-rounded.
In your experience, have you met young ladies in the slum that do not afford pads?
Yes.
How was the experience?
I've had to either have conversations with people to support them long term, or just go out of your way and say, okay, have this for now and follow up. And part of what we are giving out now is even donations that we had to talk to other people and say, because I work here and I meet young women every time who are asking me for this, could you please make it available so that if that happens, I'm able to support. So I think also being open to that. Yes.
Evelyne, back to you. If you have a question for the director, it would be very good for her to be able to answer you, because I can see time is not on our side, and before actually time is over, I would want to show you the kids having fun at the top of the building. If you have any other questions, please, you can actually ask the director.
Steve, I think I really don't have any questions for her, because the questions you've asked were some of the questions I had, and she talked about everything, widely, which is very key. And I appreciate what her CBO is doing in the community, just to ensure conversations with people, bringing in the kings and queens together and talking to our girls about menstrual hygiene and menstrual health. So I'll just say thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. That was really nice to also hear how differently you're doing it from your side.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay,
that's from me. Thank you so much. If allowed, I can actually do my last part of the show, which is actually to show you what the young boys and girls are doing together, because I'm thinking comes the time that we need to agree that boys and girls need to be able to play together, they need to work together, they need to grow together. And the center has provided such an environment which is very amazing that they're training all of them at the same time, together on the same. And today I actually got a chance to see something that they were able to map from solar panel, and it seems that they were waiting for me. So I'll just flip the camera and they can say hi. Say hi. Say hi to Straight Talk. So these are the amazing kids at the center, and you can see they actually have a place to play together, and they do art together. They do the inventions together. It's one of the big reasons I think the home is a little bit different from the other homes, because they're getting a chance to grow together. And this is the kind of learning the topic today was all about. Are young boys or growing boys able to be part and parcel of the topic on menstrual hygiene? And from the director, it has been concluded that it is, and part of the program, and it will happen. So back to you, Evelyne, and this is from Kings and Queens of Kibera. You guys say bye-bye, Straight Talk. Thank you so much, Evelyne. Back to you.
Cute. Sorry, that is so cute to have them tell us goodbye, and it's amazing. Thank you very much, Steve. So this is our last round. To our online viewers, I know it has gone way past the time we had talked about earlier, but this is a conversation that is worth the time, and I'm just so excited and happy that you stay tuned in. So I will just bring in my guests for the final round. And then I'll just love to invite Jadida back, to invite Collins back, to invite Rebecca back, and then just to say also Patrick has left us, but he has also left us with good information, so I'm sure you've learned a lot from them. So maybe to Jadida and Collins and Rebecca, just as we're closing up this amazing conversation, I'm sure you have that thing you really want to tell the public to be aware of, or to continue putting into place to just ensure that women and girls in our communities are also protected and well taken care of. But before we do that, I just also want Jadida I want you to talk about, what Collins had mentioned a bit of it, and he was very excited talking about, if every woman and girl has access to sanitary towel, how that is a game changer, and for him it was like, wow, this is will be a huge game changer, and we'll definitely also love to hear it from you, because you are a menstrual health expert. What will that mean, and especially for women and girls in Kajiado, how will that look like?
I think Collins put it so well that it is beyond just what we think. It's education, it's the economic freedom that this will bring. I don't think I can add much to that, but also just to say that it will be good health, not only their body health, their reproductive health, but also the environmental health. If we have good disposal, then it means that the environment will be clean and it will be free of any disease that might be transmitted through the waste product of menstrual products. I know, like in Kenya, we have more than 10 tons of menstrual waste in a year. So you can imagine all that. If it just goes out in the environment, what that would be. But we will be an empowered nation all around. We are looking at it holistically. So I think Colin said pretty much all of it.
It's really nice that, together you having the stream of thoughts that is really converging to a particular point of helping our community. And then this is definitely our last round. But before I call on you guys to give us your final sentiments and maybe a word of encouragement to the young girls and women out there, and especially at this hard time, I just want to read some of our social media comments that have been coming in. And at the same time, I just want to quickly check if there's some questions that you guys can quickly answer before we actually finish up. And I see, looking onto our Facebook, there's a lot of comments coming in, and most of them are on like inclusivity, boys' involvement, having this conversation. So everybody is talking about that, and we see Mohammed Sharif saying, amazing conversation, but we have to consider some of the essential components of MHM. And if I'll only mention some: one, information and support, materials and supplies, facilities, toilets with water, bathing and laundry, drying spaces, and finally disposal and waste management. And these sums it all up, because these are essential needs, and these are essential things that women and girls need in our community. And also, just to read another comment from Luz, she's saying, talk about menstruation normalized. Normalize, support girls and women during this menstruation, celebrate MHD together as an empowered community. Amazing. So she's talking about us normalizing the conversation, and those are some of the key things you guys talked about. Make it normal. You know, even the terms that we're using, we should not hide under some terms, because like Jedida talked about it earlier, sometimes these terms are very misinforming, and they might actually be, you know, perpetrated to stigma around menstrual hygiene and menstrual health. Ruth Lewis is also saying it's very important to ensure girls and boys understand the menses are a normal biological process that should not be shamed. Very insightful points from Patrick. From Patrick there from Uganda. Thank you, Ruth Lewis, for that, and thank you all our viewers and bringing in some of your comments. And Rita Ninda saying, my thoughts an advocacy agenda. Since schools are closed and girls are at home, the government should provide sanitary towels that were being given in schools at home. And that is the exact same thing Jedida talked about earlier. You know, put it in the accession package when you're bringing us food. Put that pack of, you know, pads, that menstruation packet inside there, because it's important. Atito, the period man, is saying, watching loud and clear from the period man headquarters in Mombasa 001. I did know there's an headquarters. This is interesting. Great discussions going on here. I think I should look for that headquarters and join the movement. This is really nice. Thank you so much, Atito, for tuning in live and watching at this amazing conversation with our guest today. Mariah Onyango says, thank you, Jedida Malkia Lemar, on for the good job. Keep putting a smile on our women and girls' faces. Jedida, there's a big thank you to you there from Maria. And she's also saying, wow, such an informative clip from GSW. Yes, women and girls should be given platforms to make informed decisions regarding their lives. And that is a thank you to Collins, who brought for us the amazing video clip that we are able to share with you today. And I'm great that you guys have watched it and have loved it, because we also watched it and we loved it. And maybe the final comment from Philip is, great discussions here. It is vital to have strategies for implementing MHM in pandemic situations. That thank you. And Nelly Munyase is also saying, Collins, that's a holistic approach. I like the boys' involvement too. And that is it all from our online viewers. It has been an amazing conversation. So I'll just start with Rebecca, and then I go to Muhammad before I finally close with Collins and Jedida. Rebecca and Muhammad. Rebecca, could you go first and just in one sentence, I'm just giving you, I don't know if there's something like milliseconds, but if there is, I'm giving you milliseconds just to give us your final verdict and your final words about today. Just unmute your mic, Rebecca, then we can hear you. You unmute your mic so that when you speak, we are able to hear you.
Okay. Well, so thank you so much, Eve. It has been a good conversation, and we hope that we're still going to continue this conversation on MHM so that everybody in the community understand that menstruation is key, and it is something that is compulsory. It is not something that you choose, but it happens monthly. So we need to we don't need to be ashamed talking about menstruation.
Thank you, Rebecca. Mohammed, your last word.
Yeah, I would say it has been nice, like taking part in this conversation, and you have talked a lot of knowledge here. And all I would urge is, like, if you can, like, reach out to women groups or people who are dealing with this topic, with this particular topic here in Isli, it would have been better. Yeah, that is all.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Mohammed, for that. And I know Jadika and Collins as well, they closely work on that. So they've had your price, like how to handle girls. And I'm sure they will take that up to also ensure girls are helped. So to Collins and Jadida, I just for you, I want to give the food. You guys have worked this for a long time, and see, it's period week. You know, this is the week where we are all celebrating menstruation and saying it's amazing, it's beautiful, and demystifying some of the myths and the misconceptions that are there. And I'm just happy that you guys were able to join us. So I'll just start with you, Collins. Maybe tell us, you know, this week as you're celebrating menstruation, what are some of the changes we will make, and then just give us your final verdict about, you know, menstrual hygiene and mental health. Collins, we are not able to hear you. Just unmute your mic.
Sorry about that. My parting shot is this: that menstruation matters to everyone, everywhere. And I think that is the one thing that we're going to carry forward as we go towards Menstrual Hygiene Day. That is on the 28th of May. We are going to continue with the three things that I mentioned earlier we are doing. So policy advocacy work and budget advocacy work to ensure that we have a safe space, safe community for menstrual health and menstrual hygiene. Number two, we will continue with our work of community mobilization, community engagement, so that people understand that menstruation is normal, and women and girls require a safe environment for them to have a healthy menstruation. Number three, we are going to continue working with our partners and our friends where need be to mobilize menstrual hygiene products and the accompanying infrastructure to enable our communities provide a safe space and dignified menstruation for women and girls.
Amazing. Well put. Three main strategic points that, you know, as a community, we should all join together just to support and ensure we're protecting women and girls. Jadida, it's your moment.
Thank you, Evelyne. And I think I want to talk about two things that were not brought up in this conversation. First, I'll talk about menstrual health and PWDs. It is a key aspect of menstrual hygiene that is most of the time forgotten or easily left out. So we have people with visual impairments and some who have different disabilities, and it is something that we need to talk about. We need to consider going forward, and I think that is one of our focus area this Menstrual Hygiene Day, just to think of the vulnerable groups that are there. The other thing is menstrual hygiene disorders. We have rather menstrual health disorders. We have very many disorders that usually people do not talk about or are not known well. From now endometriosis being the big thing to PCOS to anorexia, we have actually a lot, more than 10. These are the things that we want to talk about this month and this Menstrual Hygiene Day. And going forward, just putting them in the limelight. I think the other thing that I would want to talk about is menstrual research. We have not seen a lot of research going on in this space, and that is one thing that we at Malkia are key to keep on doing and to venture in such spaces. My parting shot will be menstruation matters, of course, and let this be the beginning of very many conversations. Let's end period stigma, let's end period shame, and of course, calling out to very many people to give to the calls out there. I have personally seen so many calls of people asking for donations. Even at the Malke Initiative, we are still doing a pad drive. So we are calling on people to give, because as much as people think that during the lockdown food is essential, periods are not stopping, and it is very essential. So for me, I think we will continue with these conversations. I am happy to give advice where be, and yes, to keep on having bloody awesome conversations, as I call them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jadida there and Collins and Rebecca and Mohammed. It's been insightful. I will testify. I have learned a lot. I just didn't know that I'm a woman who lack a lot of information when it comes to mental health. And thank you to you guys for being able to, dissect some of this information, because many of us still do not understand, all these nitty-gritties when it comes to us talking about mental health and mental hygiene. So to our online viewers, if you want to know where to get Jadida, you can go online on Twitter. You can get her at Jadida Malkia, or you can look for Malkia Initiative on Twitter and be able to get her. If you want to know how you can talk to Collins, Collins, I don't know how we can get you on Twitter. I know if you look for DSW, be able to get you, but maybe tell us how we can get you.
My Twitter handle is at Bwana Collins, and DSW Kenya is at DSW Kenya.
Okay, so if you want to get either of them to continue talking more about it, please look for them on their social media accounts. I'm very sure if you DM them, they will definitely DM you back. And just as like Jadida said, she's very open to advice and to teach us about everything. And Collins is also very willing. And I'm sure Precious Youth Organization that is being represented here by Rebecca, if you look for them also online, you'll be able to get them. For Patrick, you can also get him at Patrick Sewa on Twitter, and he will be able to respond to your questions. That is all from us at Tubonge Thursdays. And today our topic of discussion was mental health management and hygiene. And as you've heard it from the experts themselves, it is essential. It is actually a human right, and menstruation doesn't stop, even with or without a pandemic. Thank you so much for staying tuned, even though we've gone past time. Thank you for being very patient with us, and we appreciate it. And much love to our guests also. So all you have to do is to keep safe, wash your hands, social distance, wear a mask when you're going outside, and remember, be kind to each and every member of the community. That is all from me. I was your host, Evelyne Odhiambo, and goodbye.
Hi
everybody. Hi guys, my name is Jenny Machule, Taragas High School.
My name is Rafael Juma from Tata County Student School.
My name is Maureen Shitawa. I'm from Shenascals High School located in Nakuru County.
Mini Matu, Makimaina, Tika High.
Hey guys, I'm Belinda Sifuna, Menstrual Girls School from 4.
I'm in Form 3 and you're watching Straight Talk TV.
Watching Straight Talk TV.
I'm in Form 4, the school is in Machakos County, and you're watching Straight Talk TV. Keep watching.